Well, the businesses that will perform the best are the ones that require little capital investment to facilitate inflationary growth and that have strong positions that allow them to increase prices with inflation. We have a candy business, for example, and the value of the dollar since we bought that candy business has probably fallen at least 85%, I would say. The business sells 75% more pounds of candy than it did when we bought it, but it has 10 times the revenues, and it doesn't take a lot more capital. So that kind of a business, any business that has enough freedom to price to offset inflation and doesn't require commensurate investment or huge investment to support it, will do well. Businesses like our utilities, which get in effect a bond-like return, but require, if you're going to build a generating plant, it costs twice as much per kilowatt hour of capacity, and all you're going to get is a fixed return, and yields on bonds go up perhaps dramatically if you get high inflation, is not going to do that well in an inflationary period, just because it has certain aspects of a bond-like investment, and bonds generally are not going to do well in inflation.
Yeah, everybody's a competitor, and including now Apple that has just instituted a card, I guess, in conjunction with Goldman Sachs. Everybody, there will always be, in my view, many competitors in the business. Banks can't afford to leave the field. It's a growing field. They build up receivables on it. But I wouldn't think of the credit card business as a one model business any more than I would think of the car business as essentially being one model. I mean, Ferrari is going to make a lot of money, but they're going to have just a portion of the market. Well, Amex is growing around the world with individuals, is growing around the world with small businesses. You just saw the contract they made with Delta, which is probably the ideal partner that runs for 8 or 9, whatever it may be, 9 or 10 years actually. The billings go up per capita, they go up, the coverage spreads, and they're going to have loads of competition, and they always will. But they had, that's something. J.P. Morgan, took on the Platinum card and was a competitor, and the Platinum card had highest renewal rates that they've had, and they increased the price, I think, from $450 to $550 during a competitive battle, and retention improved, and new business improved, and 68% or so of the new business was millennials. I mean, it is not an identical product with anything else, and as a premium card, it has a clientele which is large. It may be X percent of the market, maybe 3/4 of X%, or whatever it may be. It isn't for the person that likes to have 5 cards and look every day at which one provides the most rewards that day, or in what gas stations or something of the sort. But it's got a very large constituency that has a renewal rate, a usage rate that's the envy of everybody else in the industry. So I like our American Express position very well. If you look at credit card usage, there are a lot of different things motivating different people to use various types of payment systems, and there's a lot of them that are growing. There's some of them that are marginal, and American Express is an extraordinary operation. And I think this year, our share of the earnings, well, by next year, our share of the earnings of American Express will be equal to the cost of our position. We'll be earning 100% on what that position cost us, and I think it will grow. And I think the number of shares will go down, and our interest will go up without us laying out a dime. So the American Express actually was an express company formed in 1850, like I say, by Wells and Fargo of all people. And for a while they carried these big trunks around of valuables, and then the railroads came along, and that wasn't going to work very well anymore, so they went to the traveler's checks, and it's a very interesting thing. In 1950, when I was living at 116th and Broadway, they were down at 65 Broadway, and they were the most important name in travel. They were synonymous with the integrity of their traveler's checks. And the whole company, in a record year for travel, earned $3 million. $3 million, what a bond trader earns now in my lifetime. That's what they've done with, and their hand going in was the traveler's check, which has more or less disappeared. But the American Express, the power of that brand, intelligently used going into the credit card business, where they entered much later than the Diners Club, later than Carte Blanche, but they came to dominate the luxury end of the credit card business. It's a fantastic story, and I'm glad we own 18%.
Picture Omaha in 1937. I was 7 years old, and no air conditioning, so the summers were hot and humid. People went out on their lawns at night just to try and cool off, and I got the idea that maybe I could sell them what you would call soft drinks and we called pop. So I went around to a bunch of gas stations, and in those days every gas station had a cooler with varied soft drinks in it, and it had a little opener on the side and something to catch all the bottle caps. So I went around and collected all the bottle caps for weeks at these various gas stations. I collected 8,000 of them. And then I sorted them all out, and I saw that they were Coca-Cola overwhelmed everybody else. So I decided to hook myself up to them. And there were these little silver-like ones in those days. And my grandfather had a grocery store, so I went to my grandfather and I said, how about giving me a deal on Coke so I can sell it around the neighborhood? And he sold me at the rate of 6 bottles for a quarter, and I went around and sold them for a nickel each. And I sold out every time. And I had no inventory, I had no receivables, I had the best business I ever had. But I made one mistake. I didn't put the money I saved into Coca-Cola stock. But I rectified that mistake some years later.
What excites you these days in technology, innovation, new businesses?
I like this one. I'm the kind of guy that likes to bet on sure things, Muhtar. And since 1886 and Jacob's Pharmacy, you've just seen year after year after year till now you've got 1.8 billion, 8-ounce servings a day around the world. And when I joined the board in 1988, I don't remember the exact figure, it was a whole lot less. And you've got fewer shares outstanding now, and you've got way more per capitas, and you're gaining share around the world. So those are the kind of businesses I like. I like wonderful brands. You got to take care of them, but if you take care of a great brand, it's forever. And those are the businesses I like. We own 400 million shares of Coca-Cola stock, as you know. We've never sold a share, and I wouldn't think of selling a share. I think, well, in my lifetime, since 1930, real GDP per capita in the United States has gone up 6 for 1. Think of that, 6 for 1 in one person's lifetime. We have not lost the secret sauce. So that's the kind of future I see ahead too. And if that's the future, you want to own businesses that are going to participate in that future. And we've done that for decades now at Berkshire Hathaway, and we'll continue to do it.
It's an extraordinarily Apple. It's got a fantastic manager. Tim Cook was underappreciated for a while. He's one of the best managers in the world. And I've seen a lot of managers. And he's got a product that people absolutely love. And there's an installed base of people, and they get satisfaction rates of 99%. And I get the figures from the Furniture Mart as to what's being sold. And if people come in and they want an Android phone, they want an Android phone. If they want Apple, they want an Apple phone. You can't sell them the other one. I mean, the brand and the product is it's an incredible product. It's a huge bargain to people. I mean, the part it plays in their lives is huge. I use it as a phone, but I'm probably the only guy in the country. Maybe some descendant of Alexander Graham Bell's doing the same thing. But it is indispensable to people. And, you know, it costs, you know, car costs $35,000. And I'm sure with some people, if you asked them whether they want to give up their Apple or give up their car, you know, and really make the choice for the next 5 years, you know, who knows what they do. But and we got a chance to buy it. And I sold some stock last year, although our shareholders still had their percentage interest go up because we repurchased shares. But that was probably a mistake. In fact, Charlie, in his usual low-key way, let me know that you thought it was a mistake too, didn't you, Charlie?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I could only do so many things that I could get away with Charlie, and I kind of used them up between Costco and Apple. So incidentally, he very likely was right in both circumstances. It's an extraordinary business.